The gleaming showroom of prestige motors stretched before me like a temple to excess. My brother Ryan stood next to a silver Mercedes S-Class, practically salivating, while our parents admired the leather interior like they'd discovered the Holy Grail. "This is the one," Ryan announced. "Fully loaded. $110,000. The salesman, whose name tag read, Derek, smiled that practice smile they teach in car sales training. "Excellent choice. Now let's talk financing." I sat in the waiting area, supposedly there for moral support. My coffee was getting cold while I watched this performance play out for the third time in 5 years. "My credit's not great right now," Ryan said, employing the understatement of the century. His credit score was somewhere south of 550 after 2 repossessions, a bankruptcy, and a string of maxed-out credit cards. "But my sister Sarah can co-sign," he continued, gesturing toward me like I was a prop. "She's got excellent credit." Derek looked at me hopefully. I smiled and said nothing. "Sarah, come over here," Mom called. "Don't be antisocial." I walked over slowly, checking my phone. 3 new emails from my executive assistant. A text from my CFO about the quarterly review. And a calendar reminder that I had a board meeting in 90 minutes. "Sarah," Dad said, putting his arm around my shoulders, "your brother needs your help. Just a cosign. You won't have to pay anything." "That's what you said about his last car," I pointed out. "I paid 14 months before he got it repossessed." "That was different," Ryan said quickly. "I was between jobs. I'm established now." Established. Ryan was 33 years old and had been between jobs for approximately 8 of the last 10 years. He currently worked part-time at a gym, making maybe $2,000 a month, and thought he could afford a $110,000 Mercedes. "The payment will only be about $1,800 a month," Derek said encouragingly. "Very manageable." Ryan made $2,000 a month before taxes. "Sarah has the credit score," Mom said. "She's always been so responsible. And family helps family." Responsible. That was the word they used when they meant useful. I was responsible, so I paid for things. Ryan was finding himself, so he got a pass on all adult obligations. "Let me see the numbers," I said. Derek printed out the financing application. I scanned it quickly, my trained eye catching the details. Down payment, $5,000. Monthly payment, $1,847 for 72 months. Total financed, $137,784 including interest and fees. "Who's paying the down payment?" I asked. "Well," Dad said, "we thought you could help with that too. Just to get him started." "And the insurance?" I continued. "Insurance on an S-Class for someone with Ryan's driving record will be about $400 a month." Ryan waved his hand dismissively. "I'll figure it out." "So you want me to co-sign a $110,000 car, provide the $5,000 down payment, and trust that you'll make $2,200 monthly payments when you earn $2,000 a month?" "You're making it sound bad," Ryan said. "I'm getting a promotion soon," my manager said. "Ryan, you're a part-time personal trainer. What promotion?" "You don't believe in me," he said, his voice taking on that wounded tone that usually got him whatever he wanted. "No one in this family believes in me except Mom and Dad." Mom nodded vigorously. "That's true, Sarah. You've always been so negative about your brother's potential." Negative. I'd been realistic. There was a difference. "Sarah, please," Dad said. "It's just a signature. You won't actually have to pay anything. We'll make sure Ryan keeps up with the payments." They wouldn't. They never did. They didn't have the money either. They'd already borrowed $180,000 from me over the past decade for various emergencies that somehow always involved funding Ryan's lifestyle. I pulled out my phone and pretended to check something. "Actually, I need to make a call. Business thing. Give me 5 minutes." I walked outside into the parking lot and dialed. "Marcus, it's Sarah. I'm at the dealership." Marcus Chin, my chief operating officer, laughed. "How's it going? Did they ask you to co-sign yet?" "Of course. A $110,000 Mercedes. Jesus. For the brother. Who else?" I walked further from the building. "Execute the plan. Call the general manager and tell him who actually owns this place." "You're sure?" "Once we do this." "I'm sure. They just asked me for $5,000 and told me I don't believe in my brother's potential." I'm done. Understood. I'll call Jeffrey now. He's going to be shocked. That's the point. I hung up and stood in the parking lot for exactly 5 minutes, watching through the glass as my family continued to plan their luxury purchase. Ryan was now sitting in the driver's seat taking selfies. Mom was already posting on Facebook about her son's success. When I walked back in, Derek was pulling up credit applications on his computer. "Sarah," he said brightly. "Perfect timing. I just need some information from you for the cosign application." "Actually," I said, "I need to speak with your general manager first." Derek's smile faltered. "The general manager? That's not really necessary for." "I insist." "Sarah, don't make this complicated," Ryan said. "Just sign the papers. I want to speak with Jeffrey Morrison. Now." Derek looked confused but picked up the phone. "Let me see if Mr. Morrison is available." 2 minutes later, Jeffrey Morrison walked into the showroom. He was mid-50s, distinguished, wearing a suit that cost more than Ryan's monthly income. He was also sweating slightly and his hand shook when he extended it toward me. "Miss Patterson," he said, his voice careful. "I didn't realize you were visiting today. If I'd known." Ryan looked between us. "You two know each other?" "Jeffrey," I said calmly, "my brother would like to purchase a Mercedes S-Class. He'd like me to co-sign and provide the down payment. What do you think of that arrangement?" Jeffrey's face went through several shades of pale. I think we should discuss this in my office." "No," I said. "Right here is fine." "Sarah, what's going on?" Dad's voice had an edge of suspicion now. I looked at Jeffrey. "Would you like to tell them or should I?" Jeffrey cleared his throat. "Mr. and Mrs. Patterson, Ryan, I'm not sure you're aware, but Prestige Motors is part of the Cascade Automotive Group." "So?" Ryan said. "Cascade Automotive Group is owned by a holding company called Patterson Ventures LLC. Mom frowned. "That's the same last name as us. That's a coincidence." "It's not a coincidence," I said quietly. "I own Patterson Ventures. I've owned it for 6 years. Which means I own this dealership. And the 12 other car dealerships in the franchise. Jeffrey here reports to my board of directors." The silence was absolute. Derek dropped his pen. "That's impossible," Ryan said. "You work in tech. You do something with computers." "I was a software engineer," I corrected. Past tense. "For 3 years. Then I founded a tech company, sold it for $18 million and invested in automotive franchises. I've been the majority owner of Cascade Automotive Group since 2019. Jeffrey nodded miserably. "Ms. Patterson owns 68% of the company. She's the principal shareholder and CEO. "But you drive a Honda," Mom said weakly. "A 2019 Honda Civic." "Yes. Because I don't need to prove anything to anyone." I turned to Jeffrey. "What's the dealership policy on family members of ownership purchasing vehicles?" "We offer a friends and family discount," Jeffrey said. 20% below invoice, and we handle the financing through our credit union at preferential rates." "Interesting. And what about co-signing policies?" "We strongly discourage co-signing in general. Too much liability. We especially discourage it when the primary borrower has a credit score below 600 and a debt-to-income ratio that makes the loan unviable." Ryan's face was turning red. "Sarah, you own this place and you were going to let me pay full price?" "You didn't ask for a discount," I said. "You asked me to risk my credit and give you $5,000. That's different. I'm your brother." "Exactly. You're my brother. The brother who's borrowed $95,000 from me in the past 10 years. The brother who's never paid back a single dollar. The brother who totaled 2 cars I co-signed for and left me with the debt. Those were accidents. The first one was an accident. The second one was you drag racing at 2 a.m. with a suspended license. I paid $22,000 for that car after they hauled it to the impound." Mom found her voice. "Sarah, why didn't you tell us you owned this company? Because every time you know I have money, it disappears. You've taken $340,000 from me over the past decade. Dad's failed businesses, Ryan's cars, your kitchen remodel, the boat you bought and used twice." "We didn't take it," Dad protested. "We borrowed it. We always intended to pay you back." "Show me one payment. A single check, transfer, or payment of any kind." Silence. Jeffrey was looking at his shoes, clearly wishing he was anywhere else. Ms. Patterson, Derek interjected nervously, should I void this sales application? Yes, I said. My brother won't be purchasing a vehicle today. Sarah. Ryan's voice went shrill. You can't do that. I can and I am. Jeffrey, I'd like to review the sales records for my family. Have any of them purchased vehicles from this dealership before? Jeffrey pulled up his computer. Your brother purchased a BMW 540i 2 years ago. Payment history? 60 days late currently. We're preparing repossession paperwork. Ryan went pale. You can't repo my car. I don't personally repo cars, I said. The finance company does that. But yes, when you're 60 days behind on a $700 monthly payment, they typically take the car back. But I need it for work. You work at a gym 3 blocks from your apartment. Mom stepped forward, her face a mixture of shock and anger. Sarah, this is cruel. This is your family. How can you humiliate us like this? Humiliate you? You brought me here to use my credit without asking. You assumed I'd just sign whatever you wanted because I always have before. You called me antisocial for not immediately agreeing to risk 6 figures on a car my brother can't afford. We're your family, she repeated. Then treat me like it. My voice was sharper than I'd intended. Treat me like a person with feelings and boundaries, not like a credit score with legs. Dad's phone rang. He answered it, walking away. His face went white as he listened. Sarah, he said slowly, why is someone from your company calling about our mortgage? Oh, I said. That. I bought your mortgage 6 months ago when you refinanced. You're actually paying me $2,400 a month. Through my property management subsidiary. You bought our house. Mom looked like she might faint. I bought the note on your house. There's a difference. You still own it. As long as you make the payments. This is insane, Ryan said. You've been secretly controlling our lives? No, I corrected. I've been secretly keeping you afloat. The house was in foreclosure. The bank wouldn't refinance with Dad's credit. I bought the mortgage and gave you terms you could actually afford. Why? Mom whispered. Because despite everything you're still my family. I didn't want you to lose the house. But I'm done being the silent ATM. I'm done being treated like my only value is my credit score and bank account. Jeffrey's phone buzzed. He looked at it and cleared his throat. Ms. Patterson, your CFO is on the line. He says your board meeting starts in 30 minutes. Thank you, Jeffrey. I looked at my family. I have to go. I have a company to run. Sarah, wait, Dad said. We need to talk about this. We can talk. Schedule a meeting through my assistant like everyone else who wants my time. I pulled out a business card and handed it to him. Her email is on there. Ryan grabbed my arm. You're really going to let them repo my BMW? What am I supposed to drive? I looked at his hand on my arm until he let go. Ryan, you're 33 years old. You've never bought your own car. You've never paid your own insurance. You've never handled your own finances. Maybe it's time you learned. How am I supposed to learn if no one helps me? The same way I learned. You figure it out. I walked toward the exit, then paused and turned to Jeffrey. Actually, Jeffrey, I want to make a purchase. He looked terrified. Of course, Ms. Patterson. Anything. That Honda Accord over there. The base model. What's the price? The Accord? That's $28,000. I'll take it. Have it detailed and delivered to Ryan's address by tonight. Ryan's mouth fell open. You're buying me a Honda Accord? No. I'm buying myself a Honda Accord and giving you my old Civic. It has 85,000 miles, but it runs perfectly. It's paid off. The insurance will be about $120 a month, which you can actually afford. A used Civic? Sarah, I can't drive a used Civic. Then take the bus, I said. Those are your options. The Civic or public transportation. This is so typical, he said bitterly. You have millions and you're giving me your old car like some charity case. Ryan, you are a charity case. You've been one your entire adult life. The difference is that I'm not enabling it anymore. Mom was crying now. How did we raise such a cold daughter? You didn't raise a cold daughter, I said. You raised a daughter who learned that love in this family came with a price tag. That my value was measured in what I could provide. That saying no meant I was selfish and saying yes meant I was useful. I walked to the door then stopped one more time. Oh, and about that mortgage. The one I bought. I'm restructuring it. Your new payment will be $1,200 a month instead of $2,400. Consider it a gift. Use the extra $1,200 to help Ryan learn about financial responsibility. Sarah, Dad started. The Civic will be delivered tonight, I said. Take it or leave it. I left Prestige Motors and got into my current car. Not the old Civic I'd been driving for appearances, but the Tesla Model S I kept parked at my actual office building downtown. My phone rang before I'd left the parking lot. Marcus, how did it go? They now know I own the dealership. And their mortgage. And that their son's BMW is about to be repossessed. Jesus. How'd they take it? About as well as expected. Mom called me cold. Ryan said I was humiliating him. Dad just looked confused. Are you okay? I thought about it. Yeah. Actually, I am. What about the Civic? You really giving it to him? It's a good car. Reliable. If he takes care of it, it'll last another 100,000 miles. If he doesn't, I shrugged even though Marcus couldn't see me. Then he'll learn something about consequences. You're a better person than I'd be in this situation. I don't know about that. I just know I'm done being an A-team. If that makes me cold, so be it. 3 weeks later, I sat in my corner office on the 42nd floor, reviewing acquisition targets for the next fiscal year. My assistant buzzed me. Miss Patterson, your brother is here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment. Send him in. Ryan walked into my office looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. The swagger was gone. He was wearing jeans and a jacket I recognized from 5 years ago. Nice office, he said quietly, looking at the view. Thank you. What can I do for you, Ryan? He stood there for a long moment staring out at the city. They repossessed the BMW. I know. I got the notice. You're my brother. I'm still listed as an emergency contact. I've been driving the Civic. How is it? It's fine. Good gas mileage. He turned to face me. I got a full-time job. At a different gym. $45,000 a year plus commissions. That's great, Ryan. Congratulations. I started a budget. I called a credit counselor. I'm trying to fix my credit score. I nodded and waited. I came here to say. He stopped, started again. I never realized. How much you did. How much you paid for. I thought you were just being a good sister, but really. His voice cracked. Really, I was bleeding you dry, wasn't I? Yes, I said simply. You were. I'm sorry. Okay. That's it? Just okay. What do you want me to say, Ryan? That it's fine? That it didn't matter? It did matter. It mattered a lot. He nodded slowly. The Civic's a good car. I know. I'm going to take care of it. Actually take care of it this time. Good. He walked to the door then turned back. Do you think, in the future, when I've proven I can be responsible, do you think we could have a real relationship? Like actual siblings, not a bank and a customer. I looked at my little brother, 33 years old and finally maybe starting to grow up. I think that's possible, I said. But Ryan, has to be real. No more asking for money. No more expecting me to fix your mistakes. Real boundaries. Can you handle that? I can try. Then let's start there. After he left, I stood at my window looking down at the street below. Somewhere down there, Ryan was walking to the parking garage where he'd parked the old Civic. My phone showed a text from Mom. Can we talk? Really talk? Another from Dad. I understand if you don't want to. But I'd like to try. I'd respond eventually. Maybe set up a family therapy session. Maybe establish real boundaries. Maybe build something that looked like an actual family relationship instead of a financial transaction. Or maybe not. But for the first time in my life, it was my choice. Not because they needed something. Not because family obligated me. But because I decided I was worth more than my credit score. And if they couldn't see that, then the distance between us was exactly what we all needed. I texted my assistant. Clear my evening. I'm leaving early. Then I walked out of my office, took the elevator down 42 floors and drove my Tesla home to my penthouse. No family obligations. No guilt trips. No one calling me cold for having boundaries. Just me, my success, and the knowledge that I'd finally learned the most important financial lesson of all. Some debts aren't worth collecting. But some boundaries are priceless.